Good morning, I'm Scott Vertical, and we are live in Studio A2, where we have folks come by, swing by, bring their acoustic guitar, and play some things for us. It's sponsored by Bank of Ann Arbor. And here this morning, we have a very special Made in Michigan artist, Phillip-Michael Scales. Good morning, Phillip-Michael.
Good morning. How you feeling?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man.
I'm so glad you're here. You've got a new album coming out this week.
I have a new single coming out this week.
Oh,
sure.
the single is out this week.
The single's out this week. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Okay,
Can't give it to you all at once.
True.
No.
And we'll talk about that coming up. But why don't you start us off with this song? What do you want to start with today?
I think before we go into the new, we gotta see some of the old. So I'm gonna play a song called "Better Than You." It's like a Motown inspired thing because I was made in Michigan. So
Sure.
yeah, here we go. It's called "Better Than You." Hear me out, even when you know I'm wrong. You hold me down when my perception's gone. You hold me tightly in that morning sun. You don't need me to be anyone. I've seen good things fall to pieces, guarantees that never left the ground. But no one loves me better than you. I said no one loves me better than you. You let me in even when it's way too late. You take me out with that stupid face you made. I've been talking crazy since I met you, baby. I might just settle down. Loving me ain't always easy. We traded tears and you still stuck around. But no one loves me better than you. I said no one loves me better than you. I said no one loves me better than you. I said no one loves me better than you. Some girls stay on your nerves, some girls stay on your mind, but some girls just seem to have a way of holding you up to the light. Some girls stay on your nerves, and some girls stay on your mind. But girl, you just seem to have a way of holding me up, but no one loves me better than you. I said no one loves me better than you. I said no one loves me better than you. I said no one loves me better than you. Well, no one loves me better than you.
Phillip-Michael Scales in Studio A2 on Ann Arbor's 107.1. That was amazing.
Thanks so much.
Better than you. And we, again, thanks so much for taking time with us today.
Thank you.
You were in town this past week with Joe Hertler.
I was.
And that was a good show at the Arc, right?
That was a great show at the Arc, man.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, and so you do like a solo thing, right? Like this? Or did you have the full band?
I did not have the full band that day.
Okay.
No, but yeah, that day I was just acoustic, and it was
Nice.
great because like I think I must have played 5 years ago or 6 years ago or something like that in the Arc, and it's just such a great listening room.
Oh, yeah.
And since everything kind of starts on acoustic guitar and goes out from there, it was amazing to just sort of get back to that and have like an intimate listening room, you know?
Right. And especially at the Arc. It's one of the best places in town.
Absolutely.
Right? But how does that compare to 2 years ago this week you were on the Ellen Show?
That was 2 years ago.
It was
already?
Well, according to the internet,
Wow.
it was February 23rd, 2022.
Wow, yeah, that was a wild day, man.
Right?
That was incredible. It was we got there. It was like kind of in the COVID time, so whole band had to get tested, like, you know, and it was like it was all a little tense. But and I just came off a tour, like my first national tour opening, so it was like it was wild. But I got on stage and it just kind of felt natural, and yeah, it was great, man. It was such a great show.
That's, you know what, and I think they ended up shutting down the Ellen Show 3 months later because they couldn't top you. They're like, we can't find anybody else better.
That's funny.
We're shutting it down.
My buddy Ben Sturley was actually the musical musical director for that performance, and he and I have been playing in bands since we were like 12 here.
Yeah.
You know, there was like
Okay.
a Bloomfield Hills Battle of the Bands and all that stuff, and he's gone on to play with Liz Phair and Selena Gomez and stuff like that, but it all started here. He was in a band called Jessica Hernandez and the Deltas. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So that was my Michigan connection on the Ellen Show.
On the Ellen Show.
Yeah, nothing better than winning with your friends, you know, who you've known since you were before you could drive.
Yeah, honestly, so Mark, our afternoon guy, I've known him for 30 years. Kelly, I've known her even longer, who works in the middays. It's so great working with friends and people that you know.
Absolutely.
And bringing them along and vice versa and getting dragged along.
And getting dragged along, exactly.
By friends as well. I want to take a little bit of a turn and talk a little bit about some of your lyrics, especially there's one, the song, When They Put Me in My Grave.
Yeah.
Right? It's a powerful song, and it gets me every time I hear it.
Thanks,
And because I feel like it's something that everybody thinks about. What is my legacy? What am I going to leave behind? Maybe not everybody thinks about it. I think about it.
Fair.
And I feel like your lyrics, though, you're looking at it from the perspective of your family's history, right? And the Black experience.
Sure.
And so, can you talk about some of the lyrics in the song "When They Put Me in My Grave" and how they came to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I never really wrote a straight up blues song per se, and I think that there was, trying to find my story and like where I fit in the blues, because I come from sort of a songwriting tradition.
Right.
That was kind of where I wanted to jump in. And so, my grandmother was always, very emphatic about me knowing about the Middle Passage, and that was, the boat ride from Africa to the United States. And, you think about, just like if you look at like how you got here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I guess it's February, so we can talk our
Yeah.
talk.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I mean, if you think about the fact that like my DNA survived, getting on a boat, being captured, beaten within inches of their lives, like surviving a boat ride that was like, you're sleeping in all of your own excrements and all that stuff. And then you get here and then you're bought and sold and, beaten within an inch of your life. It's like, to get there,
right?
And just be here in the beginning is a miracle for your genes to survive, and then to turn around and have, my grandmother went to college in the 1940s.
Okay.
She went to Illinois Institute of Technology. Wouldn't let her eat on campus. Wouldn't let her sleep on campus. None of that stuff. Yeah. She got her degree. And then my mother was a graduate of Michigan State University. She was one of the first Black female veterinarians to graduate from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in terms of just that line, and my father's a dentist and all that stuff, but, just how hard they work to sort of get here.
Right.
I don't really have time to sort of fool around, in my brain,
Right.
like they carried that torch, and so that's why I work so hard.
Yeah, and honestly, I obviously have a different family experience than you do.
Sure.
And so in all these things that you bring up now, these are things that I just learned. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate, and
Right.
and I feel. I beat myself up a little bit about it, but it's not my fault. I didn't necessarily learn things.
Sure.
But now that I've decided to seek out information,
Sure.
I've learned so many things that I wish I had learned a long time ago.
Sure.
And I feel like it would make things between people in this country a lot better if we could just all learn each other's history a little bit.
Yeah, well, and acknowledge it.
Yeah, acknowledge it,
I think
right.
the thing is that like, somebody said like it's not your it may not be your fault, but it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Somebody leaves a kid on your doorstep, like whether you take it to a church to get adopted or raise it yourself
Right.
or whatever. It's not your fault the kid's there, but it is now your responsibility.
Yeah.
And so I think that like if we can all just sort of take that step back and listen to each other and sort of like understand the landscape without maybe taking everything so personally. Like, listen,
Right.
I didn't do this,
Right.
but here we are.
Yeah. I acknowledge it.
I acknowledge it,
You're
and this
right,
is what the chessboard looks like.
Right.
And
this is the game we got to play.
Yeah, and like, okay, we can move from there as opposed to sort of like, no, that part doesn't exist. Nope, not that. Nope.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you going into that with me, and going back in, staying kind of in that same realm with history.
Sure.
You and I connected very briefly on social media about a Stax book. You're reading a book about Stax.
I am.
The record company in
Yeah.
Memphis, based in Memphis,
Yes,
and
sir.
I am a huge Stax fan.
Woo!
And I feel like the fact that we grew up in Michigan, we were inundated with Motown.
We were.
It's in our blood, and we love it. It's great.
Yep.
But I feel like breaking out of that it's a whole new world.
It's an entirely new world.
Yeah, when
the
you
Beatles
explore-
wanted to go record
Yes.
at Stax,
Yes.
but they couldn't because word got out and it was like a security concern.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, a few years ago, I visited the museum, the Stax Museum, and
Yeah.
I was blown away. And
Yeah.
I learned that about the Beatles there.
Sure.
And Elvis thought about it as well, but
Sure.
then he went country instead. But it was just, I love how deep their catalog is, how much of a variety there is.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it was crazy for me because I was like listening to Otis Redding, and I always
Yeah.
kind of gravitated towards Otis. And then I got to Albert King.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh my, like I love this. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is all like Booker T and the MGs like backing him up, and
Yep.
like there's something in that water over there,
Yes.
where it's like it's blues, but it's not just sort of like
Yeah.
straight ahead blues.
Yeah. It's got a pep in its step.
It does. It got a little bit of grease on it. I think Motown was Hitsville, and
Yes.
Stax was Soulsville.
Yes, 100%. And I feel like they tried other things,
Right.
like at Motown, like this is the formula, stick to it.
Right.
It works, nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But yeah, at Stax, you had this huge variety. And, one of my favorite things about Stax was learning about not only Rufus Thomas
Yeah.
and how he's the funkiest man alive.
Funkiest man alive.
But Johnny Taylor. Like
Yeah.
going into Johnny Taylor's catalog, the dude is possibly funkier than Rufus Thomas.
You ain't gonna catch me. You ain't gonna catch me out here.
But so one of the reasons I bring up Stax is you talk about how on the new single it has a little bit of Stax influence in it. You
Yeah,
said, right?
I
Can you
guess
talk
I
about
moved
that?
closer to
Yeah.
Memphis,
Right.
so it's a little bit more in that vein. But I
Yeah.
think like the thing is like I like how it felt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like how the Stax records felt. And my producer Dan Nobler also was like a huge Stax kind of guy. And one thing he said to me was it's kind of an of the moment thing. It was just kind of what was happening at the time. It was a very neighborhood establishment. People
Right.
would just kind of walk in, and like Otis Redding was carrying some dude's bags, and he decided to just
Right.
come in and start recording. Hey man, can I sing? And they're like, I guess so. And then
Sure.
he ended up funding the company for the next however many years. And that, so I think that like for me the influence of Stax was just something to I don't know. There's a feeling you get.
Yeah.
And I think that feeling and that spirit and that vibe was something I was interested in. And I had the pleasure of a drummer named Terrence Clark, and he played on it, and he's actually a Memphis guy.
Okay.
So he grew up in a church in Memphis, and
Okay.
so he got
So it's bona fide.
it's bona fide. It's bona fide, baby.
So the new single, Light Up the Sky,
Yeah.
is out today. That's the single we're talking about that you say has a bit of a Stax influence.
It
yeah.
does.
Would you want to sing that for us?
Yeah, man,
All
for
right.
sure.
Light Up the Sky. This is Phillip-Michael Scales on Ann Arbor's 107.1.
Thank you. Torch pointed toward the road. Hard times picking at my bones. Pride might be the death of me, but I'm a lion, got a pride to feed, and I ain't scared of the unknown. Drag my boots from here to Rome, putting on that magic show. Showed them what was up my sleeve, and all of them walked out on me. I guess I gotta do it on my own. 'Cause I'm hard-headed, unleaded, I can't help this drive. Thick skin's been wearing thin, so keep me on your mind. I couldn't walk away if I tried, and I tried. I'm gonna light up the sky. I keep my kinfolk close, still chasing melodies and ghosts. My best friend's checking up on me, man. How you been? You still steady, yeah. Homie, you already know that I'm hard-headed, unleaded, I can't help this drive. Thick skin's been wearing
That's Phillip-Michael Scales, Light Up the Sky on Ann Arbor's 107.1. We are in Studio A2. Philip, that was amazing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
It was great. So that new single is out today everywhere.
It's out today.
Everywhere.
You can listen to it right now.
Yeah, well, I just did.
Yeah.
Oh, but again, I can listen to it again.
With the horns and everything else, you know?
Right. And the new LP, Good to Be Here, when's that coming out?
You know, we're still figuring that out, man.
Finalizing
we're in a new age, but what I'm doing is something special. I'm
Okay.
printing the entire record on vinyl.
Okay.
And so it's at Third Man right now as we speak, being pressed.
Wonderful.
And if you go to my website, phillipmichael.net, you can order the LP.
Okay.
And so before the whole album hits the internet, if you've got a turntable, if you're into vinyl, you're vinyl curious, it's all there.
And it's on red vinyl. I've already ordered mine.
See, well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
So but keep up with me. If you got social media, you got Instagram, you got TikTok, all that stuff. I'm there. I'm doing it. It's because of you, literally you, right now in your car driving. It's because of you listening to stations like this and finding an artist and sticking with them that we have careers. So. Thanks so much.
Well said. Phillip-Michael Scales, thanks again for coming in today, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
More music in the morning with Scott Vertical on Ann Arbor's 107.1.